Welcome here as together we look at the reading set for the fourth Sunday of Advent. We're getting incredibly close now to the great feast of the Nativity. And as the excitement for all of that builds in us, we can connect with the excitement of God's people before the birth of Jesus around the arrival of the Messiah. The readings are in the description underneath the video if you'd like to check them out later or read them before we begin. Without the time to unpack this fully, let's just take the most obvious point. When the writer asks us to focus on Bethlehem of Ephrathah, the smallest of the clans of Judah. So this obviously is a prophecy about the one who is to rule, whose origin is from old, from ancient of days. So a foretelling of the new Messiah. Looking back at the same time to David. Worth remembering too that Bethlehem means house, Beth, and Lechem is bread. So in David's day, as in Jesus, Bethlehem means the house of bread. So without giving Micah anywhere near enough attention, let's move on to St. Paul's letter to the Hebrews. You'll see this is a theological argument. Remembering the words of Christ, the words of Jesus, sacrifices and offerings you have not desired, but a body you have prepared for me. And Paul points out that when Jesus is saying no more sacrifices or burnt offerings or sin offerings, which are demanded by the law in order to make restitution to God and to find oneself in good favor again, he says instead, I've come to do your will. And Paul is pointing out that it is by God's will and this action of Jesus that we have been sanctified. We've been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. The Bethlehem, the house of bread. Our final reading, Luke chapter 1, verses 39 to 56, makes an account of Mary's visit to Elizabeth. It's a lovely account and almost domestic as the two women speak about their pregnancies. Mary's answer to Elizabeth is the famous Magnificat, my soul magnifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour. Elizabeth has already noticed and noted that Mary is blessed because she believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord, and they are both very aware of that now. Mary's song, the Magnificat, is based very heavily on Miriam's song after the crossing of the Red Sea. Another person who has sung a variation of this song is Hannah, when she finds herself with a child after years of trying. And the child becomes Samuel, grows up to be Samuel, a great leader of the people. So this woman's voice through such a considerable amount of history is repeated probably weekly, but in the Bible we have it echoing in these three key women. Miriam's exaltation is in having escaped slavery safely across the Red Sea. Hannah and Mary are overcome by the goodness of God in their pregnancies. All three of them, however, and this is their common thread, are absolutely bowled over by the goodness of God, the power of God, and the presence of God right there in their historical life they're living. While Miriam is a very powerful figure in the life in Egypt, she plays such a significant role in Moses understanding himself. But there's more to it than that, because later when she becomes ill, the party of the Israelites who've left Egypt don't move camp until she's well enough to come with them. And this lets us know she was an extremely significant figure, seen as a leader. Hannah, on the other hand, was perhaps the most ordinary of women. She was living a life that was not particularly challenging, except in her desire for a child. She was living in comfortable, peaceful times. She was living the life of the ordinary, respectable woman in her period. Mary, however, is lowly and understands that God has lifted up the lowly, lifted up her. And through Jesus' ministry, we see this understanding again and again of God lifting up the lowly. As Zephaniah says, gathering the lame and the outcast and bringing to the shamed praise, dealing with oppression and bringing renewal. Bringing hope and bringing a deep understanding of Emmanuel, God with us.